you had two women sitting in a room together with 60 minutes doing things that will make you do better. Look in the mirror when we come together and tell the truth. Woman to woman. When you had two women sitting in a room together with 60 minutes doing things that will make you do better. Look in the mirror when we come together. Woman to woman. Sex, trust, lies on us. Yes, sex, trust, lies on us. Woman to woman. Sex, trust, lies on us. Yes, sex, trust, lies on us. Woman to woman. 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 When you have two women sitting in a room together with 60 minutes doing things that will make you do better. Look in the mirror when we come together and tell the truth. Woman to woman. When you have two women sitting in a room together with 60 minutes doing things that will make you do better. Look in the mirror when we come together and tell the truth. Woman to woman. Sex, trust, lies on us. Yes, sex, trust, lies on us. Woman to woman. Sex, trust, lies on us. Yes, sex, trust, lies on us. Woman to woman. Woman to woman. Woman to woman. Woman to woman. When you have two women sitting in a room together with 60 minutes doing things that will make you do better. Look in the mirror when we come together and tell the truth. Woman to woman. When you have two women sitting in a room together with 60 minutes doing things that will make you do better. Look in the mirror when we come together and tell the truth. Woman to woman. Sex, trust, lies on us. Yes, sex, trust, lies on us. Woman to woman. Sex, trust, lies on us. Yes, sex, trust, lies on us. Woman to woman. Woman to woman. Woman to woman. When you have two women.
Welcome everybody to the Woman to Woman show. I'm Trey Kearney.
I'm Ronnie Cindy.
And I'm just happy to be here today.
I'm happy to have you. I'm happy
I'm
to
happy to be out the
have
house. I'm free.
you. What you been on lockdown for a week?
Yes.
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 So you know last week when we met with you guys, It was the day before Trey's surgery, and so
And I'm still here. What? Let me throw my W's.
I still can't
That's
do that.
women woman.
Dr. Spot.
You gotta go like this.
Yeah.
Y'all know what I'm saying, but anyway, I'm good. I'm a little uncomfortable.
Yeah, I know you got a lot of inboxes and everything else asking if he's gonna be here today.
Yes.
I'm trying to tell you, I'm trying to say we would come to her bedroom, we could come to anywhere she needs to be to do the show. And
No, the show must go on.
Wow.
if y'all see her passing out, we done had a disclosure, the disclaimer to say, I play house in my mind, so if y'all need to see the rest.
Don't let her touch me, River.
You got nurse practitioner in the living room, so I ain't gotta do too much.
Yeah, thank you.
I do my lip like house though.
See?
Are we gonna talk about she done swallowed a toothpick or something? We gotta send her for a CAT scan that turns to the camera. You know,
See?
read the inside, the whole thing.
She ready to operate on me with a pen in my neck and all that. She ready.
No, just the outside. Don't stick the whole ink inside. Just when you get the blood to come to the tooth and stuff. You don't know? You better watch them shows. So not them had did a whole experimental surgery on you.
Keep her away from me. So
It
I was
like-
bored,
Okay.
and y'all can see this ugly green nail polish because I like polished my nails probably 20 times, 20 different. I had
It
pink.
turned green?
No, I had green. I had pink. Red. This is the last one I did before I went to La La Land.
Oh, you've been living in La La Land.
Yeah, I've been living in La La Land. Well, La La Land night too.
Ooh.
So I polished my nails like red, pink,
Look here, son.
orange.
It's not that kind of show. Don't have me doing the intervention.
Black,
Don't have me doing the
purple.
intervention. She gonna get hooked on drugs.
My toes got glitter on them.
That's my favorite color.
Glitter?
Glitter.
Oh,
That's
see my
favorite
glitter?
color.
I ain't had nothing else to do with it.
Don't look like-
Other than that, I was just sitting around, and my son told me, "Where you going?" I said, "I'm getting ready to go do my show." He was like, "You had surgery, son." I said, "I'm all right." He was like, I said, "Boy, get out of here, get out of here. You 14. I'm way older than you."
But it's nice again, if nothing else, to go through the whole thing or whatever, just to know how sometimes people think that things happen by choice, by chance, but to
Mhm.
really know it's always a choice. And so to know 2 weeks ago your surgery was actually scheduled, and then to know that you went through this whole epiphany of a situation where you came back more humble and more blessed,
Yes.
and just to know that the things that you have, it really didn't matter. And so one of the things I know for myself was that when you went to have your surgery, I said my own prayer, but I also knew that you were in a different space and not
Yes.
necessarily just worried about your own self, but you know,
Yes.
it was a bigger blessing upon you and a bigger calling.
Yeah, these last 2 weeks have changed my life between going under the knife and the girls being in the shelter. It just has me with a whole new perspective on life. Like, and then, I was thinking today too, I'm always just going to my little hot topic because this been on my mind. I'm talking about what's on my mind because I can. But the whole situation with Tracy Morgan,
Yes.
being in critical condition and the situation with him not wanting his mom to be in the room. I just want to say to anybody out there, the thing I was thinking about most when I was sitting waiting to be prepped for surgery was, is there anybody that I need to say anything to? Is there anybody who needs to say something to me? So if anything does happen to me, I will never want to be a burden on somebody's spirit to say, oh, we were in a bad place when she went. So if it's anybody that you have any type of beef with, some way you feel about a family member that you should be loving on, please, life is too short because sometimes people go into surgery for toe surgery, go in the hospital for a fever and never come home. So, like I said, Tracy Morgan, in the blink of an eye, is in a situation that nobody ever thought he would be in, that his mom is probably right
But
now.
and so I'll take it again. That's his mother needing to reconcile.
Yes.
So that may not be, but that's still not his life could be completely different.
Mhm.
And that's the other thing too. And I only know a little bit about his story and to be able to reflect on that because again, everybody looks at things through their own lens.
Yes.
And so to know a little bit about his story is just because now you may feel some kind of way if I leave. I live every day. And
Yes.
so if you haven't taken the time out when I'm well and I'm healthy to reconcile that relationship, when I'm sick, that's not the time for you to come and try to do that either, because you being in my presence may not be the healthiest thing for me.
Of course.
And so it's
That's why I
like you said,
say,
yeah, if you
Please
want,
squash the beef while we sitting here talking.
Right.
As opposed to me coming to your hospital room and your sister saying, what you doing here?
yeah,
Like, you weren't talking to my sister when she was fine. Like, why are you here? we don't even know if she can mentally hear you and you causing, like you said, some kind of stirring her spirit in the wrong direction. So please, people, let's get it right. Like, nothing is that important. Like I said, I had a whole epiphany sitting there
Right.
with my little thing on my head and my robe, and the anesthesiologist coming in like, and when he came in, I just started crying, like the tears. He was like, it's okay, but I wasn't like crying, it was just tears came because I really couldn't help myself because I was nervous, and he's like, it's gonna be okay. And like I said, like, all kind of things just went through my head. Is this in place? Are the boys, did I talk to everybody about the boys? Or if anything happens to me, are their fathers gonna make sure they still have a life together? Are they gonna see Jermaine? So let's all just get right. That's all I'm saying, get right, because you don't know. Tomorrow you might be.
Well, you know, if it happens,
Yeah, I'm good.
I'm just great.
I'm good.
No matter what happens,
I'm
no matter
good.
what happens, you gotta walk around
And I'm
every day
good
and think about
with
that, right?
yeah.
That's too much to bear. Everybody knows the hour the day that you was born, but you know not the hour that you leave here. And so
But it's your choice.
That's right.
If you have some type of beef with somebody, or somebody got some type of beef with you, as long as you're comfortable with the situation, then it's all good. Like I said, I could sit there and actually know that I was comfortable.
Right.
If anything happened to me, that it wasn't me that did anything,
Mhm.
or I had started something up, or I had beef with somebody, or I wouldn't let them come to me, that my door has been open both ways, so.
That was good.
Just, like I said, just looking at Tracy Morgan and his mother situation, but I don't agree whether she should be in the room or not. Because my opinion, like you said, may be different than yours. If anything ever happens to me and all my family who's listening, if any one of my loved ones come and want to say anything to me, please let them in the room. That's just for me.
Mhm.
And that's what we should have, like you said, we don't have those real talks.
Right.
Where you tell your loved ones, like, if she comes in the room, well, I'm on my deathbed. If I'm on fire, I don't want her spit on me. We need to have these conversations so that, people don't have to try to decide, so they know. So his fiance could say, he wouldn't want you here, and I know that because we have.
Well, it's a list, and so my whole thing is,
It's a
there
list?
is no guest list. Yes, there's a list.
There's no guest list tonight.
There's no guest list at all. But before we end on that, just like we've been saying, as always, because not as always, but we have lost another icon
Oh, yes.
today, and Ruby Dee was 91 years old.
Woo, let's talk about
And I said, when Trey, I was driving it, and the Duchess had a little production today. She did her own little thing. I'll talk about that later in a minute. But when Trey said that to me, it was almost crazy. Sometimes you just live and you think of people as part of your family. And Ruby Dee was one of those people to me. Like, she was another grandmother, auntie kind of thing. And it was almost, I cried. I'm trying not to mess up my makeup. But I know, I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
Because it was just, we keep losing people, valuable people, and so it's, who steps in to be that other person? And so it was so crazy. She said we here. So Maya left and Ruby left. And we got another, and they opening up slots. They canceled Arsenio, so they need a late night. Ain't no women on late night. Hello. And then they have Ruby and Maya that are still going, and it was almost one of those feelings that as much as we're gonna miss her here, I shed tears of joy because I know she's with Ozzy. They was married for over 50 years. She was with her husband.
Come on.
And I said, I can only imagine Maya saying, "Come on, sister.
Get on this bus.
Come on, sister. Come on up here with us. Whatever. It's too much of a party going on." And so, 91 years. I could only pray that live 91 years. And so, I say a moment of gratitude and honor for Ruby Dee.
Yes.
And just to know these women, they fought for all the things that we do now we take for granted. And so I say it all the time on my Facebook page. How dare you? So for all the women, how dare you continue to do things that don't represent us well? How dare you take more time out to choose to be anything but wonderful, to be phenomenal women? How dare you not choose to be phenomenal women? It's time to stop being bad bitches. It's time to stop being whores. It's time to stop being all those negative things or whatever. Let's just be women. Let's be the queens that we're supposed to be. I'm talking to black women, white women, Asian women. I'm talking to everybody. It's time for us to represent well because there's too many of us leaving here and not representing them and leaving a legacy. Because the whole question becomes just like Trey said, what's your legacy gonna say? If you left here today or tomorrow, what would your legacy say about you? So here's a thought. Go get your wine, go get everything else, your juice, anything else that you want to get together.
The Percocet, oops.
And we'll be right back. We'll be right back.
With things that will make you do better. Look in the mirror when we come. Minutes doing things that will make you do better. Look in the mirror when we come together. I'll tell you the truth. Woman to woman. When you have two women sitting in the room together. For 60 minutes doing things that will make you do better. Look in the mirror when we come together. I'll tell you the truth. Woman to woman. Sex, trust, lies on us. Yes, sex, trust, lies on us. Woman to woman. Sex, trust, lies on us. Yes, sex, trust, lies on us. Woman to woman. Woman to woman. Woman to woman. Woman to woman. When you have two women sitting in the room together for 60 minutes doing things that will make you do better. Look in the mirror when we come together. I'll tell you the truth. Woman to woman. When you have two women sitting in the room together for 60 minutes doing things that will make you do better.
Welcome back to the Woman to Woman show. I'm Trey Kearney.
I'm Ranisa and Lee. Just want to give a thank you to our sponsors, Ace Media Corp,
Movement Magazine,
Cobblestone Multimedia,
Mona Lock Cocktails.
and everyone here today in the living room.
Oh wait, we got a new sponsor, Liz Mack Marketing. Thank you so much for your sponsorship.
Okay.
So we'll talk
Thank
about
you.
that in a minute.
Yes.
She said thank you. Okay. So back what we were saying anyway, we were just saying rest in peace Ruby Dee.
We were talking about that, and then while we were on break, we were just saying in the living room, why in 2014 are we still talking about those same issues that were still so prevalent in 1950, 1960? Because we're still fighting for the same rights.
Yes.
And so as women, to know that even when you talk about wages, that a woman is still paid less than a man.
Yes.
And so if you think about that, to know that there's still a perception that women shouldn't be in the workforce when it comes down to people that are still in power. And academically, they say that women, we achieve higher degrees than most men and our counterparts. And one of the things that a conversation that my sister and I had was that women, black women, white women, we get the job that we are qualified for. And then white men are elevated, and nothing against the men, it's not taking anything away from you. They're elevated on their potential.
Yes.
And so when we get a job and we have to prove that we can get the job that we already know we qualified to do, they see something in them and they'll continue to push them along.
Yes.
And even in doing that, that lends itself to bring back that now we still are battling with our men that, one, we're qualified to do the job that he does.
Mhm.
But then on the same spectrum, you take it outside of the workforce. I can do anything that a man can do, right? We go to work, we say we do anything that a man can do. But then when we come back home, our roles have to change. And so we spend the majority of our time in the workforce, managing other people, doing other things. Then it becomes a reflection on the home is how do we placate that down?
How do we balance that?
How do we balance that to let our men, and not to take it, not let men be men or let that or whatever.
But it's true, let men be men. It's,
Right.
It's really hard for a woman who's out working 12, 14 hours a day to come home and separate herself from what she had to deal with all day and not come in the house managing the house. Because I did artist management for a long time. So my mindset was always on management, even when I got home. I was still in management mode when I should have been in mommy mode or girlfriend mode at the time. I was still in management mode, like just telling people what to do. Like, you need to do this to make this work, for this to go that way, for us to get this done in this time. And they looking at me like.
And I mean, the biggest challenge, and you guys can join in the conversation, please do, is that I know the higher that I got up in my career, the higher I elevated in my career, the expectation was I was always on. So even when I wasn't physically in the office, now especially with technology, your emails come, another deliverable is due, you can't even sleep, you're thinking about work tomorrow, and then you come walk in the house, and you gotta come in the house and say, did you clean up, did you do your homework, so it's constantly, I'm always on. And so then it becomes a point too, if you're doing something that you love, when people say, oh, if you do what you love, you never feel like you need to get paid, well, the problem becomes, if you're doing what you love, you never get to separate yourself.
Yes.
And so professionally and personally, they start to intersect. And then to know, here it is, and it's not the point you challenging your mate, or you feel one is inferior, you're superior over there. It's just, that's my mind frame.
Mm-hmm.
And it became such a challenge too when I was married to someone, wedded to someone in a relationship, that I made more money than.
Mm.
And then my title said, that I was higher ranked in that. So it became such a conflict that you stay in work mode and you talk to me like you talking to one of your employees. And I'm like, son, look, I'm just managing what's going on. And so it's not the point I'm trying to emasculate you
Or tell you what to do, but
I'm just doing what I'm doing.
yeah, this is just.
And then it became such a challenge. And so how do you guys, and I'm asking ladies in the audience, and our man that showed back up today, thank you so much. How do you balance that? What would you recommend? How do you feel it happens with, best practices or something like that? Or if it's a challenge for you at all?
I would say with her and I really don't feel like there's a challenge in our home, because I think that we equally tend to our home, the same. I don't think there's anything she does more than me and vice versa. So, when I get home, I'm not asking her to cook, because if I get home for her, I'll ask her what she wants for dinner, It doesn't matter, so.
Team effort.
Yeah, so we don't necessarily deal with this.
Say that a little louder.
Team effort.
Team effort. Yes, there is no I in team. I love that.
I work pretty long hours and I come home, I'm tired, but he'll cook already, but if I'm home first, I'll start cooking and cleaning. Team effort.
See, that's the balance that we're talking about, but there's so many people who can't separate the roles of a man is supposed to do this and a woman is supposed to do that. That's where the line gets crossed. Like, I don't wash clothes, I don't feed the kids, I don't cook dinner. When, like you said, it should be a team effort. If I work 14 hours and I come home and you have cooked dinner for me, that's gonna change the whole level.
You get it a whole different way.
That's what I'm saying.
You get it a whole different way.
I don't say it like that, but that's gonna change
That kind of show,
the
you
whole
gonna get it a whole different way.
That's gonna change the whole mindset in the room to be like, oh my God, thank you so much, which makes him want to do more. But a lot of times it gets twisted, like I said, because men be talking about what they don't do and what they do.
I'm sorry, it's different for me because I don't mind doing those things. I don't mind cooking, I don't mind washing clothes, I don't mind doing this. But the moment that, my significant other complains about it, like for example, if I'm washing clothes and I do it on my time. But if you want to complain that I don't have any clean underwear, then you do the laundry.
Yes.
And then like I cook when I feel like it. If not, then you need to bring something home for dinner. But if you come home and complain you're hungry, then I'm not cooking. I mean, for me, in my house, the only thing that I ask is take out the trash. I won't deal with garbage. That's just it. That's just me. And everybody knows, anybody who knows me, that if it doesn't happen, it's a problem. You only gotta take out garbage twice a week. I cook every day. I do laundry every week. I clean every week. All you gotta do is, so trash don't go out, then that's a problem for me because that's all I ask you to do. And I mean, you laugh. That's how
the thing about it is,
We laugh because you go hard about that garbage.
that's the whole thing, for me, from what you guys were saying is that, I'm in a management position and, I feel that for me, when I come home, I'm still operating in that role. And so that means when I'm tired, then you need to leave me to my space. And I've been fortunate enough to be in a relationship where we have that. The only thing we argue about is garbage. But it is difficult to, do that at work and transition out of that role when you come home, because most of the time that's the expectation that, well, I just assume that because that's what you do that you will handle things.
Mm.
So, my things don't always assume, because sometimes I don't feel like it, or I don't want to. I don't want to be the boss at work and then the boss at home. Sometimes I just don't want to.
I know, take that cape off.
Right.
Sometimes you want to take the cape off and
Sometimes
not
I
have
want
to.
to be the boss and
Right.
I
Right.
want to be the boss
That's
at
the truth.
home. That's what I'm talking about.
Because I know even
Crazy.
one of the biggest things that I went through for myself was the point that I was so used to being the person that was in charge of everything.
Mm-hmm.
So to manage the kids, to manage the home, to manage people at work, and then because of my nurturing spirit, I was managing people that I didn't even have to manage because everybody wanted to come talk to me.
Say that
And then
again.
I was managing people I didn't even want to manage. It was just, and then that one didn't report to me. I had an open door, and it still happens that my spirit just allows people to feel comfortable in talking to me and venting to me, and they would drop things on me, and it was like, how do I best manage this? And then I didn't mind, but it was almost funny when I think back to all the many jobs that I had, and I remember I was a preschool teacher, and I loved my kids, and at the same time, my oldest son was young. And so here it was, I was mommy to 24 kids all day, just, there was 12 in the bed, the little one said roll over,
Yes,
and
yes.
this is red, this is blue, and let's tie your shoe, and do all that kind of stuff, right? I would get home, and he would ask me one question, I would bite his head off.
Yes.
And so I would say to myself, I had to check myself one day, and I said, I'm loving other people's kids, and I'm not giving mine my own. I'm not giving him my love.
Yeah.
And so that day, I decided I couldn't do that anymore.
Because you know what, the love that you were giving them was part of the job.
Right.
So we have to, because I was a daycare teacher, we have some of this kind of work, we're gonna talk about that later. 'Cause I was too, and I used to take my niece with me to daycare, but when I got home too, she would get on my nerves.
Yeah, because he was with me, that was the whole
Yes.
reason why I did it, because I needed him to come and be with me. And so it was
Every day,
literally,
do some things.
I actually didn't want to leave him with anybody.
Yes.
He was, that's my first accomplishment, as I call him. But it
Well, I call my
literally,
first my guinea pig.
it was literally one of those things to know, even in all the jobs that I had, that I would just literally get to the point where I was giving the job more than I could give my home. And so now to know, and ladies, I understand it. You managing your kids, you managing everything else, but take your cape off.
And don't forget to love.
It's one of those things. We're gonna talk a little bit more about that, and we're gonna get to our topic of committing yourself to someone that is unavailable to you, as some of us have done. Committed yourself to a married man. Why you do that to me?
Why you do that?
Why you do that?
Why you do
Why
that?
you do that?
We'll be back.
We'll be
Don't go
back.
nowhere.
When you have two women sitting in a room together, with 60 minutes doing things that will make you do better. Look in the mirror when we come together. I tell you truth, woman to woman. When you have two women sitting in a room together, with 60 minutes doing things that will make you do better. Look in the mirror when we come together. I tell you truth, woman to woman. Sex, trust, lies on the minutes doing things that will make you do better. Look in the mirror when we come together and tell the truth. Woman to woman. When you have two women sitting in the room together for 60 minutes doing things that will make you do better. Look in the mirror when we come together and tell the truth. Woman to woman. Sex, trust, lies on us. Yes, sex, trust, lies on us. Woman to woman. Sex, trust, lies on us. Yes.
Welcome back to the Woman to Woman Show. I'm Trey Kearney.
I'm Ronnie SMD.
And it's crazy to hear about
Burner.
garbage. Crazy to hear about that garbage. So during the break, we were still talking about, you know, how to balance certain things and how to stop, how to turn your job off when you get home. And we have Dr. Hardy here with us, and she was saying, she was speaking from her perspective, from, you know, talking because some of our audience members are a little younger.
Yes.
So we want you, I ain't gonna put on the spot.
Well, the entire audience is
I'm being honored with Dr. Hardy. Some of our audience members and my co-hosts are a little bit younger than us. And we want you to elaborate a little bit on what you were saying.
Yes, I was just sharing that being married a long time, you have
How
to.
many years are
It'll be 35, June the 23rd. It'll
Woo.
be 35 years.
Sheesh.
Okay.
So.
I was me at 35 years. Look, they need me at
Everyone
35
been having
years.
sex all your life.
You gotta catch up, man.
Yeah, so you constantly changing. After 5 years, you're changing. 7 years, 9 years, you're constantly changing. So that clear communication is so important.
Say that one more time.
Clear communication. Actually saying what you have to say and listening.
Right, listening.
Yeah,
God
and
darn
repeating,
it.
and
God
repeating
darn
to
it.
make sure you have it because
Right.
you're constantly changing. Because I did have that cape on as I was getting my degrees and you know, being a supervisor over a whole department. Then I bring the same energy back and the supervisor over the whole home, and that has to change. And I had to learn how to relax.
That's one of the things I can say for myself, Dr. Hardy, is that prior to getting married, was that even just in general, and going to look for my next job, even though some people look at it differently because you have a degree to change your career. You show up for somebody else's job, they're going to expect you to do something.
That's right.
But I started to also look at the book of Job, and not to go into a spiritual sense.
Oh,
And it was almost funny because it was like, why is this Job in the Bible and the job when you look at something else, but to know the toils that he went through and never, you know, you take away my family, you take away my money, you take away all that stuff. And so for me, I got to a point, literally, I lost some friends along the way, and other people in my life have just let them go, and I had to start overvaluing myself and other people's lives to find value in myself.
Yeah.
And so when I sought another job, my thing was, I don't want to be in charge. And I was so clear on that with everything. And the more I thought about that, I said, it's not just about where I'm going to go and get a paycheck. I'm talking about in life. I don't want to be in charge of everything. And so in meeting Jeff, one of the things I said to him was that I needed a meeting. I was clear. I had a clear box. I had a clear title for him. I had a clear place for him, because it wasn't one of those things where I ever said, I don't need a man. But I just couldn't figure out what I needed him for because of all the other things that I went through. And I wasn't angry at men. I wasn't mad at men. I still loved them, and I was almost trying to love them into loving me more. But the problem, that became more troublesome for me. And so even in trying to figure out still, where do I need a mate? Where do I need him? Do I need him to be that constant person that would call me all the time, that would stroke my ego all the time? Do I need him to flourish me with gifts? And if nothing else, I figured it out, that I need a man that would balance me.
Yes.
So when I was sad, I need somebody who's gonna make me happy. When I was angry, I need somebody to make me happy.
Calm me down.
Calm me
Yeah.
down. When I was worried, I need somebody to say it'll be okay.
Mm-hmm.
And if it did nothing else, when my confidence, and that's not often, but when my confidence was a little bit shaken, to say, babe, you like, you know,
You good.
you good. And so sometimes maybe a cake isn't enough.
Mm-hmm.
But even in going into my job that I was recently removed from is that it was okay because if nothing else, I didn't want to be in charge of anybody else. And so it was almost funny when people would come the way that they would do before when I was in charge and I felt obligated to have those conversations. It got to the point where I would be able to say, that's not in my description to handle that. You need to go and talk to somebody
Yes.
else. Now you can come and sit in here and I'll charge you a
That-
billable
that's
hour.
the whole thing about it. Once you start doing things like that, people expect so much from you when you always,
Right.
when you make yourself, like you said, I was in charge of people I ain't need to be in charge of.
Right.
I'm the same type of person. I just
Mhm.
come and take charge, mind other people's business.
And I ain't mind
And-
about
but
that.
I'm
They come
saying,
and tell me they folks,
That's,
and I'm
that's
like,
what I'm saying. They tell you,
right.
and you start minding other people's business when you don't have to. So
Right.
people just put all these expectations on you, and then
Well,
you
even
don't know
how
how
we
to
talked about
relieve
some of
those
the,
expectations.
Things that we go through with our family, it was, people will call us on the phone, and I know my friends are also my family, so I'm just talking about
Yes.
people that I'm blood related to. But they will call me and they will say, oh my God, I got X, Y, and Z going on there. As they're talking to me, I'm trying to solve their problem.
Yes.
Like, who do I know that can help them, and what can I do, and what can I do? And so it got to the point where I just started to listen. And I would listen until they would ask me for something, and then I could determine what it was that they needed from me. Because sometimes people just need you to listen.
And
But my
sometimes-
spirit just was like, well, what can I do to help them? And I was like, well, I'm not required to do that.
And then sometimes we don't have to allow people all the time to come and change our mood or where we're at a moment. Because a lot of times people call you when you're at a happy moment and they start telling you stuff and you just like, man, I was happy a few minutes ago. So like I said, I started to have to filter my phone calls and filter my family and friends
Right.
too, to say, today, I'm not gonna take anybody's phone calls because I'm somewhere today where I wanna be, where I need to be.
Mhm.
Whether I'm in the Word, whether I'm reading scripture, or if I'm reading a book, or if I'm just sitting back chilling, watching Maury, you can't come and drop your whole life on my
Oh,
lap
right.
at that moment. And a lot of people do that because we
It's-
became those people.
Right.
That
Because it's
they
even
expect.
funny to know,
Maury? Hold on, what?
it's funny when people call me, the first thing I say, especially when you get that call and you know that moan is getting ready to start.
Yes.
So the first thing I say to people is, what's right? Hey, what's
Yes.
right? And you go, yeah, 'cause you had to think a minute. Because they can tell you what's wrong. People can run down what's wrong. And even when I have people that's not being charged a billable hour, call me and start wanting to tell me stuff. And so I always say, you want to talk about your mate. What's good about your mate? What's good about, what's good in your life? Because it's always easier to talk about all the negatives. And I had to say to one of my friends this week, and I think she's phenomenal. I won't mention her name because she'll have a fit if I do that. But she called and we had just a conversation. And she was just saying, people, my parents tell me I'm this, my parents say this, and all these wrong things. And the more I told her that she was wonderful, the more she wanted to discredit what I was saying to her. And I said, the sad part is that we will kick ourselves harder than anybody else can kick us.
Yes.
And we will do more damage to ourselves and our spirits. I know I'm the one to not be able to take a compliment.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody say, oh, Ronnie, you look so pretty today. I'm like, I know, but this just don't fit right. Or that, such and such,
Yeah.
But, and we point out all our flaws. And
Yeah.
so another thing I had a man say to me, the things that you think that we notice, we ain't paying attention to that.
Until you bring it to our
Until you bring it to our attention. The same thing happens in your relationship, that you walking around and your man tell you, ooh, you look good. You're like, I need to lose 20 pounds. And you're like, I don't see that. And you so busy discrediting what he's saying that you forgot that he gave you a compliment.
Yes.
So that comes back to that same thing that we was talking about last week. Women, listen. You
Yes.
need to listen. Take a compliment, and if nothing else, if you can't look in your mirror and see what you're seeing or whatever, surround yourself with people that will lift you up
Yes.
opposed to tearing you down. Because don't nobody want to hear yo if you ain't owning yo. Okay? And my phone is not breaking up. Y'all know what I mean.
Y'all know what you mean. Own your stupid.
So
Oh, yeah, we'll own you.
we'll own you. So again, we want to thank our sponsors, Ace Media Corp,
Movement Magazine,
Moment Live Cocktails,
Cobblestone Music.
and everyone here in the living room that is part of the conversation. We'll be right back. Woo!
We gotta get to our topic.
What's the topic?
committed to a married man. We're gonna talk about that right now.
When you have two women sitting in the room together for 60 minutes doing things that will make you do better. Look in the mirror when we come together and tell the truth. Woman to woman. When you have two women sitting in the room together for 60 minutes doing things that will make you do better. Look in the mirror when we come together and tell the truth. Woman to woman. Sex, trust, lies on us, woman. Yes, 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 woman to woman. When you have two women sitting in the room together for 60 minutes doing things that will make you do better. Look in the mirror when we come together and tell the truth. Woman to woman. When you have two women sitting in the room together for 60 minutes doing things that will make you do better. Look in the mirror when we come together and tell the truth. Woman to woman. Sex, trust, lies on us, woman. Yes.
I'm Trey Kearney.
I'm Rodney Cindy.
And we got a lot going on in the living room.
We got a lot going on in the living
We
room.
just be talking about everything going on here.
Like what? Who did what? What happened? So just a few hot topics.
A few things in the news this week that are
In the
disturbing.
news.
That are really disturbing.
Yes.
All the way around. First,
So we're gonna just talk about accountability.
yes.
Right. So this is what the show is all about, being
All
accountable.
about accountability.
So we talk about accountability to our kids. So I think it was 3 weeks ago. Everybody advocated for Stevie J to be able to come to the
His daughter's preschool graduation.
daughter's preschool graduation. Okay, that was a preschool baby. Now for the other kids that he had besides the preschool baby, he owed $1 million child support.
He allegedly, because he did come on social media and say it's not true. He owes.
Well, the Popo said it was true when they locked him up.
Yeah, well, they just said they didn't say the amount. He does owe child support, and I'm not defending him.
$8,500 a month that he ain't paid in a couple
I'm
years.
not defending him. He does owe child support, but he did come on and say
Stevie J married?
He
Stevie
did.
J look
he did say the amount that they said is crazy.
Okay.
Because why, now they just coming for me if I owed $1 million.
Because he was in Atlanta and he came to New York and the spa in New York and they knew he was in New York, so it's like, let me lock him up while he up in New York. I'm just saying.
I'm just saying.
I ain't Stevie J.
It might not be $1 million, but you do owe child support. Pay child support, man. The
And so
judge
then-
shouldn't have to make you pay that.
That's a whole other story. Because it's
Accountability.
it's about accountability. And you should be accountable to your kids. So you complain about preschool graduation, you got some other kids that need your assistance. So then you take it on the flip side, Halle Berry's been ordered to pay $16,000 a month in child support. So Stevie J got paid $8,500. Halle Berry got paid $16,000. Now, please forgive me because I get peanuts for child support. But
$16,000
$16,000 and he doesn't have
full custody.
no, so they share custody. So during the time that
He has her.
he has her, he needs to have $16,000 a month.
Because they were saying that she wants to live out of the country, and he filed a motion.
No, he wanted to take her to France or something, whatever it was, but
No, I think she wanted to, because her husband wants to live
okay.
out of the country. So
Okay.
he went and said that, went to the judge and said.
So that means he not gonna even see her every month. So but he gonna get
No, she
16.
can't take her.
Oh, okay.
So
But
they.
he only gonna cost $16,000.
$16,000. Be careful who you have kids with.
No, be a millionaire, have a baby by me. Says $16,000, $8,500, like.
And speaking of kids,
Wait, because you got one more story.
yes,
So this one, Master P just decided I ain't coming to court. So
And
that's
his kids are taken away from him.
Yeah, he lost everything. So now he has to pay.
So a crackhead, I mean, I didn't mean to call him a crackhead, but anyway, drug addict.
Yeah. So when you talk about accountability and on both spectrums and both ends, whether you're male or female,
Get your babies, like you gotta,
Right.
if you really care about your kids, you need to show up in court so that they don't end up in an unsafe environment with their mother who you and
and that still goes back to no matter what it is, no matter who it is, and you can be upset and you can complain, you can say, somebody trying to take advantage of it. You chose it.
Yeah.
You chose it.
picked
So
them.
even for me to give peanuts, I have to be mindful.
You chose them.
I ain't chose to have nobody that can be a millionaire. Like,
Yes.
And it's not even about the money. Honestly
No.
speaking, again, I think it's about accountability.
It's
And
about
so
picking a responsible
Right.
mate, a person who just wants to be responsible for their own self in life. Like,
Mhm.
you gotta wanna be responsible for you. You gotta wanna be responsible to take care of your house, your kids. So you really gotta look at the person who you are actually going to form a bond with. You need to ask, like you always say, a lot of us don't ask those hard questions. Was your mother in your life?
Mhm.
Was your father in your life? What kind of man is your father? Did your father keep a job?
Right.
Was your father a womanizer? Was your mother home?
How would
with
you balance your home? How was your finances
Yeah,
managed in your
you
house?
come from a
Do you-
two-family home. Like,
Do you know about paying bills? Do you know
there's a
about?
lot of questions that we just don't ask because we
Right.
just want to be in love. So,
Oh, I love him, and I'm gonna have his baby, and we
And
did
now
that
I hate
last
him.
week.
and I can't believe.
And as they say, you gonna give me my money? You gonna give me my money? Right, but
I swear, when I watch Maury, I be praying that them men ain't the father, because them women, I would never ever want my son to have to deal with one of them women, because you could come and sit down and talk. Like, if I had to go on the show and say, you're the father of my son, I'm 100% sure, I could sit there, I don't gotta be, you there, and then your mother come out with her ponytail swinging, and her head coming off,
We went to
her
Maury.
bra coming, I'm
I
just
was
like,
in the audience of Maury, and I'm sitting there, and there was a young girl on the show, and she must have been about 14, 15 years old. And then they had a group of high school interns, like class or whatever, sitting in front of us. And the girl, she just going on, I know he the father, I know he the father. And the mother's sitting there, right? I said, she lucky she ain't my daughter. I said, because I said, don't you open your God,
Don't say another-
don't you say another
Yeah.
one. The point she nasty enough. And I'm gonna say it. For you women, I swear, I am an advocate that paternity tests need to be mandatory.
yes.
Whether y'all
Me
like
too.
it or not, anything
Me
else,
too.
whatever,
I
I
agree.
advocate for a brother to get a test. As soon as the baby come out, whether you married to him or not, if paternity tests became mandatory, I guarantee you, it'd be a whole lot of women that change the way that you do. It's only one day out of the month that a woman can get pregnant.
Yep.
One day. And y'all nasty enough, you don't know who's splashing off you and everything else, whatever, want to blame somebody, put somebody's name on the birth certificate and everything else, and they get mad at the man.
Yes.
You wonder why men walk around angry, you wonder why men question things, you wonder why.
Yep.
You wonder. And again, it goes back to that same thing or whatever. When we leave a legacy, what will our legacy say about us? That they got more we can come on from now to the end of time, because the DNA don't change.
Yeah.
But the point you got women going, this is the 15th man I got tested. You nasty. And to be my daughter, I wish she would open her mouth and say, he the father. I said,
And that's what I'm saying.
I said, say another word.
I
I said, I
I'm
said that,
praying.
I complained to the
No,
whole
I just be praying for them guys. I'll be like, please don't let that be his baby. And I don't mean to be mean, but I just like, why would he want to deal with you and your mother for the rest of the, if y'all acting like this on TV,
Right.
I can't imagine how y'all act at home on the streets. Oh my
But then
goodness.
on top of that too, it bothers
Ladies.
me when women yell, you gonna give me my money,
Ugh.
right? Because I say it all the time, child support is more than money. It's really about time. And I think if you ask a real mom that which one would you prefer, a father that gave you money or a father that spent time?
Yes.
Because again, kids don't understand, they're gonna eat, you tell kids you ain't got no money, but the food show up every week. The kids, shoes won't happen and everything else. But the opportunity to make a memory and to spend time with your children, that's more valuable than anything else.
Yes.
And so even in my case, to know that my kids don't always get to see their father, one, he transitioned and so he won't be able to see them again. And then the other one, he's choosing to act like he don't exist. But God bless again that they had Jeff to be a part of their lives. But on the same token, I'm not even angry about that, because one of the things I say all the time, and it soothes my soul as I sleep well every night, is that if he doesn't value himself enough to instill his values in my children, I'm glad that he doesn't see the value in them. Because if nothing else, to know that they wake up and they go to sleep every night knowing that I am loved.
Yes.
That they go to sleep and they don't hear anything negative about them, because I don't allow that to take place either. And a lot of women, I caution you to stop doing that.
Yes.
Because if nothing else, it goes back to that same thing, you chose him. And so when your children begin to judge you, because children get to that point where they judge you, right? And they're gonna say, well, Mom, why do you choose that bum? What that say about you?
Yes.
If he a bum, then you chose him.
And then you drop that seed, and that you plant that seed in your child's head, because they're a part of that person.
Right.
So when you give them that negative about their father, that becomes a part of them, because our kids always look at us to see, not only where did I get my nose from, where did I get my eyes from, where did I get becoming a thief from? You know, how did I become a kleptomaniac, or how did I become a drug addict, or why am I, flying off the deep end? Because you always said your father was so mean, your father got a bad temper, you just like your father. So now your child has got these things in their spirit, and they start acting on them. So you have to be careful, very, very careful, women. And we're here.
And never mind, if you the bad side, they need to see you, right? So if you act crazy, they like, well, it must be my mother. So my father got to walk on water. So that's the other part of it too. So act crazy if you want to.
And your kids.
But your kids gonna say, you cray cray, well, let me go over here and be with my dad.
And I got my talent from my dad, my drawing, my drumming, my singing, because mom crazy. All she do is yell and
All you do something, you do those things. I would say, what happened?
No, me.
Oh.
I don't play no drums.
Well, we'll be right back.
I need this. We'll be right back.
What's up? This is Coco, and you're watching the Woman to Woman Show.
This is Ice-T. I'm coming to you live from the Woman to Woman Show. Church.
What's going on? It's Mark John Jeffries calling out the Woman to Woman Show. Check it out.
Hey, what's up? This Tresh Naughty by Nature. Giving a shout out to the Woman to Woman Show all day, man. If it wasn't for the ladies, yo, we couldn't do what we do so well. You heard?
Bam!
Hey, listen, ladies. This is Zaim, and you are watching the Woman's to Woman Show.
Bam!
You're tuned into the Woman to Woman Show. Bam!
What's up? This is Coco, and you're watching the Woman to Woman Show.
When you have two women sitting in the room together, with 60 minutes doing things that will make you do better. Look in the mirror when we come together and tell the truth. Woman to woman. When you have two women sitting in the room together, with 60 minutes doing things that will make you do better. Look in the mirror when we come together and tell the truth. Woman to woman. Sex, trust, lies on us. Yes, sex, trust, lies on us. Woman to woman. Sex, trust, lies on us. Yes, sex, trust, lies on us. Woman to woman. Woman to woman. Woman to woman.
I'm Trey Kearney.
I'm Ronnie MB.
We got some beef going on in the room, but we ain't worried about it. We just really wanted to shout out the fathers who are doing their job.
I want to shout out. I want to give a big shout out to my brother. I want to give a big shout out to my friends. I want to give a big shout out to my other half for Father's
Me too.
Day.
I want to give a big shout out to the other half of Father's Day, to your great dad.
But
And to
honestly,
all the
Mama,
fathers
right.
who don't need the man to tell them what to do, who just who give because they are the other parent. And a lot of times we take for granted, we act like mothers are just so important. Like it's just the mother, it's the mother, it's the mother. So
Right.
all the fathers who are there, not 50%, it's not 50-50, all the fathers who are there 100%.
To all the single fathers, I give y'all credit. And I wanna say this because it's gonna start to happen, whatever. Ladies, as much as you wanna think so, you are not mother and father. You are mother.
Thank you.
And so this week, as much as I appreciate it, on Sunday, I'm asking all of my friends, I love you guys to death, but please don't send me a Father's Day text message. I love you, I love you, I love you, I appreciate it, but I am not my children's fathers. I am just their mother.
Thank you.
And to all the men that step up and take on not just their children, but take on other people's children, the stepfather, the mentor, the man in the street that takes time out or whatever to give a brother a hug, anything that you're doing or whatever to show a good example of manhood, I applaud all of you men. And this is not just, even though it's called Father's Day, I'm gonna take it a step further, call it Man's Day. Not because to take anything away from that, but again, the legacy that you leave behind
Yes.
is far greater than anything else. And so to know our boys need that. Black boys count. Men matter. If you just do nothing else, whatever this week, ladies, just calm down.
Just to say from two sisters, two strong black women, we appreciate you as fathers. If nobody else said it to you,
Yes.
we're saying it here today on the Woman to Woman show. We appreciate you as fathers, we appreciate you as husbands, we appreciate you as men, and we are here to uplift you. And that's why we wanted to do this show.
Right.
To hold women accountable, to take you guys out of the equation.
Right.
And stop beating you down, and just to have, like Ronnie says, what's good about him. So we applaud you for all the good that you do as fathers. Get kids. I'm just joking.
Yeah, let them have kids for the weekend.
Word.
So before we do have my brother who was here last week. If there's anything that you would like to add that wasn't added last week, or just give a male perspective on something that you think that would do a woman's spirit well, I would definitely like to for you to share.
A woman's spirit well. Last week, one of the brothers was talking about a woman just listening to their mate. I think that's something that a lot of women have an issue with, as far as just listening. It's something so easy, but yet so hard to do. And one of the men said that, men, we're human, we're emotional, we have feelings, we get hurt sometimes, we get stressed sometimes, and I think that it's kind of taboo for men to come out and say, I'm hurt, or what you said offended me. So I think it's important for women to just take a step back and realize that men are human beings too, and we have feelings, we hurt, we are embarrassed, we have our pride, but at the same time, we're still human. So it's important for women to take that into consideration sometimes.
And ladies, don't sit there right now, because I know you're doing it, because it's already in us to do this, to pick what he said apart. Just what he said is, women, listen. That's it. There's nothing else. I told you guys last week, I said, men are cut and dry, they say what they mean, and we want to twist it around to what we want it to be. He said, ladies, listen, men have feelings, and they want us as women to listen to them.
So, again, we thank you so much for tuning in. Next week's show, we're hoping to have teen to woman show. So we're going to have teens in the room with us. We're going to have them come to the living room.
Yes.
We might meet them where they are. Hopefully we get to go out to some of the schools and talk to some of the kids about what their outtake is on moms, on dads, on relationships.
And how they've been affected by relationships where the family has been broken down due to cheating. Children who have been a product of a relationship where the mom wasn't with the man, where the man wasn't available, and the mom made the choice.
Right.
How they feel about their parent. I may even bring my son in, which may be hard for me to do. I have a 19-year-old son who's seen a lot, who's been through a lot, through my whole ordeal, and I don't know if he'll want to sit and talk about it, but I will ask him.
Yeah, and I'm going to invite my son to come and know that one of the biggest sadnesses that I have is that he never got to see his father not together. And just when we started to reconcile our differences, he died. And that's always, you know, my oldest son got to see and live the life that he got to see us being a family. But my middle son never got to see that. And I know that kind of still affects me. So, hopefully,
It's okay. It's okay. See, that's why we say, no, that's why we say, hash the differences while you have the opportunity.
yeah, we
because
we just never had the picture of the family together, and that was something I never thought would happen.
Yeah.
You know, I thought he was gonna be my friend until the day we died.
See?
Well, we were. It's almost funny because nobody told me right to
but
you
that
know,
day,
to have my son that had that, and
you
to be
never
in a
know
good
when that
space
day
with
is
him
gonna
now.
come. So
Yes.
let's try to make those connections now. Let's stop holding grudges or want somebody else. Dr. Phil always says this, and I'm not really a big Dr. Phil fan right now, but I don't really think he'd be resolving nothing no more.
I don't think that's a good doctor. But go ahead, that's what
That's just my opinion, but Dr. Phil says sometimes somebody, the one thing that he does say that I like is sometimes somebody has to be the hero.
Yeah, you have to be the hero of your own story as well too. So that's the other side of it. So again, thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Ronnie Senby.
I'm Trey Kearney.
And
that's the living room.
That's the living room. Thank you,
We'll see you guys next week, and hopefully our boys will be here, because that just might be us and our sons.
And so you guys on the other spectrum too, coming this summer, get your kids ready. We're gonna have the kids, a kids show that's coming to you for the summer. It's called What's the Big Deal? So that's gonna be fun. Thank you again for watching the Woman to Woman Show. I'm Ronnie Senby.
I'm Trey Kearney.
And thank you to all our sponsors, Ace Media Corp,
Movie Magazine,
Comstone Multimedia,
Mona La Cocktails.
Thank you. See you next week.
See you next week. Bye.
Thank you for making it.
When you have two women sitting in a room together, with 60 minutes doing things that will make you do better. Look in the mirror when we come together and tell the truth. Woman to woman. When you have two women sitting in a room together, with 60 minutes doing things that will make you do better. Look in the mirror when we come together and tell the truth. Woman to woman. Sex, trust, lies on us. Yes, sex, trust, lies on us. Woman to woman. Sex, trust, lies on us. Yes, sex, trust, lies on us. Woman to woman. 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 When you have two women sitting in a room together, with 60 minutes doing things that will make you do better. Look in the mirror when we come together.